Today you will learn how to find the unit rates. And this is 4.2 find unit rate. Now focus on this question. Write each rate as a unit rate. Rate is actually comparing one item to a totally different item. So if you look at this question, $46 for 5 toys. So you're comparing the money to the total number of toys that you have. And the unit rate actually means to find it for one or for each. So the way that we're going to set up this question is $46 for 5 toys. So I am going to write the money and the toys. Those are the two different items that I'm comparing. So the money in this case is $46. The toys in this case is 5. They are asking me to find the unit rate. So they're basically asking me for one toy, how much money will I pay? So I'm going to write this as M. M stands for the missing number, which I am going to find. Now, the way that I'm going to solve it, starting from 4.2, we will be using all throughout for the entire chapter 4. So I'm going to cross over and multiply. 46 times 1 is going to give me 46. I'm going to cross over and multiply. 5 times m is going to give me 5m. Keep in mind, m is what we are trying to find. M is a variable. You want to know what number belongs in the place of m. 5 times m. So 5 is multiplying. The opposite is divide by 5 and divide by 5. You want to get the m alone. You want to find what is missing, which means you want to basically find m. So you don't want this 5 to tag along. Get rid of this 5 by dividing it here and do the same division on the other side. Now 5 divided by 5, you cancel them out and you get m equals, so with just a basic 46 divided by 5. So 46 goes in the shelter divided by 5. 5 cannot go in a 4, and this will be 9 times 5 is 45. 6 minus 5 is 1. Decimal point 0, 0. Bring the decimal point straight up. Bring the 0. 5 goes into 10 twice. Now bring the last 0 down. 5 goes into 0, 0 times. So that basically means $9.20 for one toy. That is the price you will be paying. Let's focus on question number 3. 70 miles in 2 hours. You want to find the unit rate. The unit rate means you want to find for 1 hour. So miles and hours. So the miles in this case is 70. The hours in this case is 2. You want to find the unit rate, so which basically means you want to find for 1. And this will be the missing. The last one is your missing. There are many ways to get this one. You can also get the answer using your mental math, but get used to the process, which you're going to use it all throughout. So let's see. 2 crosses and multiplies m to give you 2m equal 1 crosses and multiplies 70. 1 times 70 is just 70. Watch the way that I'm going to show you. 2 multiplies m to give you 2m. 70 multiplies 1 to give you 70, and this looks like a multiplication symbol, so please understand that you are crossing and multiplying. This is your multiplication symbol, so that should give you something to remember. Now remember, you want to find what m is. That is the objective. So divide by 2 on this side and divide by 2 on the other side. Do the same division. 2 divided by 2 cancels out. M is equal to 70 goes in the shelter divided by 2, 3, which is 6, 1, bring the 0, 2 goes into 10, 5 times to give you 35. Make sure from now on you are going to write the words 35 miles per hour. That is what the unit rate is. Or you can write it as 35 miles per hour. Just writing the M, the P, and the H together. make sure that you write this down. Unit rate. Unit means for one. Unit also means the same as each. Unit also means the same as per. Let's focus on this question. Mrs. Farley made 72 ounces of hamburger into 22 meat patties. How many ounces of hamburger are in each meat patty? So they are comparing 72 ounces of hamburger. Make sure in your handout that you are underlining these keywords. And 24 meat patties. So you are comparing the ounces in the meat patties. So let's look at the first one. 72 ounces into 24 meat patties. The question is asking you how many ounces of hamburger are in each meat patty. Each meat patty is the same as in one meat patty. So that means in one meat patty, how many ounces, and which is missing. M stands for the missing. So I'm going to write it as M, and now I'm going to use my cross multiplying. So 24 crosses and multiplies M to give me 24M. 1 crosses and multiplies 72. 1 times 72 is 72. Make sure that you put the equal sign in the middle. And keep in mind you want to find M. So divide by 24 here and divide by 24 here. So you get rid of this. 24 and 24 cancels out. You get M equals 72 divided by 24. Let's see. 24 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6, 7. So that'll be 3. So that means 3. Do not just give me 3 as an answer. I need to know what the 3 stands for. The question is asking you how many ounces of hamburger. So the M stands for the ounces. So 3 ounces in each patty. So from now on, I need to know what those numbers stands for. Question number 8. For exercise 8 and 9, refer to the table. The Flamingo League stats. Teams 1, 2, 3, 4, games played, and the losses they got. So let's focus on question number 8. For each team, find the unit rate. Keep in mind, unit rate means is for 1. Games per loss. So let's do this. So I'm going to write joules. So games and losses. So games and losses. Because they are asking me to find the games per loss. So games for joules is 36 and 12. Now let's do the same thing for the pink socks. Games and losses. So pink socks games is 68 and their losses are 17. Let's do the same thing for Go Girls. Games and losses. The games played was 52 and the losses they had was 13. Now let's take care of the last one, which is high fives. Make sure that you are writing all of these in your notebook. You won't have enough space in your handout. So the games played is 72, the losses they had is 8. So games played was 72 and the losses they had was 8. So you took this table and you wrote it in this format. Now focus on the question. Find the unit rate. You cannot find the unit rate until you have find for 1. They want you to do it for the games per loss. Per loss means you want to find it for 1 loss. So you're going to do the same thing for all of them. For each team you have to find it. So M is the missing here, M is the missing here, M is the missing number you are trying to find, M is the missing number you're trying to find. So let's focus on joules. So you're going to cross over and multiply. 1 times 36 is going to be 36. and 12 times m is going to be 12m. Make sure that you have the equal sign. Now divide by 12, and that is how you get the m alone. So m equals 36, put it in the shelter, and divide it by 12 to get 3. So that means 3 games per loss. They won 3 games for every loss. Now let's focus on pink socks. Do the same thing. 17 crosses over and multiplies m to give you 17m, and 1 multiplies 68 to give you 68. Divide by 17, divide by 17, cancel, m equals 68 divided by 17 to give you 4. So that means Pink Sox had 4 games won for every loss. Let's go for the Go Girls. Once again, do the same thing. 13 multiplies m, 52 multiplies 1 to give you 52, divide by 13, divide by 13, cancel, m is equal to, put the 52 in the shelter, divided by 13 to get 4. So once again, for the Go Girls, 4 games won per loss. Let's go for the high fives. 1 times 72 is 72. 8 times m is 8m. So divide by 8, divide by 8, cancel. M is equal to 72 divided by 8 gives you 9. So that means 9 games won per loss. That is the way you take it. Now focus on the question that has been marked. Pause the video, read the question, understand the question, and continue. Train travels 558 miles in 3 hours. In your handout, make sure that you are underlining all the keywords that I am underlining. At this rate, how far does the train travel per hour? You got to understand, per hour means it's for 1 hour. So these are the two information that is given to you, and the keyword is rate. Rate is actually a ratio where you're comparing two different items. So the two items that I'm comparing are the miles and the hours. So I'm going to write those two keywords. 558 miles to be traveled in 3 hours. So if this is the information I got from here and here, and I'm setting it up as a table, at this rate, how far does a train travel per hour? So in 1 hour, so I'm going to write it in the hours, they want me to find how far does a train travel? What is the distance it's going to travel? I'm going to write this as m, and I'm going to put an arrow because that is where my m is, which is what I need to find. So once again, I'm going to cross over and multiply, which is a standard one. 3 times m gives me 3m, and 1 times 558 gives me 558. Make sure that you have the equal sign. Divide by 3, divide by 3, cancel, m is equal to. So 558 divide by 3. 1 times 3, 2, bring the 5, 3 goes into 25, 8 times 3 is 24, 1, bring the 8, 3 goes into 18, 6 times. So your division is done. So which is going to be 186. Do not just give me the number. Give me what the 186 represents. So if you go back to the one that you put an arrow, which is your M, so you just attach the word miles. So that means in 1 hour, you can go 186 miles. Or I need you to write it as 186 miles per hour. The same thing can also be written as 186 mph. Okay, focus on question number 6. Pause the video, read the question, understand the question, underline the keywords in your handout, and then continue. Mrs. Carson pays Kristen $48 for babysitting 6 hours, and Mr. Vasquez pays her $67.50 for babysitting 9 hours. Who pays Kristen the better salary? Explain your answer. So the person who is babysitting is Kristen. So she is the one who is doing the babysitting. There are two people who are willing to pay her. There is a Mrs. Carson and a Mr. Vasquez. So I'm going to set it up like this. So there is a Mrs. Carson on one side who is willing to pay something, and there is a Mr. Vasquez who is willing to pay her. She needs to take the job which pays her the best. The way that you're going to find it is look at the information that is given to you. So Mrs. Carson is going to pay $48 for babysitting 6 hours. Those are the two informations. So let's write it as money and hours. Those are the two numbers given to you. So $48 for 6 hours. Now let's go for Mr. Vasquez. Mr. Vasquez is going to pay her $67.50 for 9 hours. So once again, let's go to the Mr. Vasquez house, and he said he's going to pay her the money and the hours, once again the two information, $67.50 for 9 hours. If you want to find who pays a better salary, you cannot find it until you know for 1 hour how much Mrs. Carson is willing to pay, and for 1 hour how much Mr. Vasquez is willing to pay. So I'm going to write the last one as an M, write the last one as an M. Now let's focus on Mrs. Carson. I'm going to cross over and multiply. 6 multiplies M, so focus on, and the M is the arrow. Once again, my M is here, so this is the one I need to find. So 6 times M is 6M. 1 times 48 is 48, equal sign. Divide by 6, because I want to find what M is, which is the money. Divide by the same 6. Cancel. M is equal to 48 divided by 6 is 8. So that means Mrs. Carson is going to pay $8 per hour. Now let's go for Mr. Vasquez. Once again, do the same thing. 9 multiplies M to give you 9M. 1 times 67.50 is 67.50. Make sure that you put the equal sign. Divide by 9. Divide by the same 9. Cancel. M is equal to, we got to do some division over here. So $67.50 goes in the shelter, divided by 9. 9 cannot go in a 6. 9 times 7 is $63. And 7 minus 3 is 4. Bring the decimal point straight up. 5 goes down. 9 goes into 45 5 times. 0. Bring the 0. 9 cannot go in this one, so $7.50 is what Mr. Vasquez is going to pay per hour. So look at the price that they are willing to pay. So Mrs. Carson is willing to pay her $8 per hour, and Mr. Vasquez is willing to pay $7.50 per hour. So who pays the better salary? And in this case, the answer will be Mrs. Carson, because she is getting paid by Mrs. Carson more than Mr. Vasquez. Now, pause the video, understand this question, read the question, and let's start. Dan's truck goes 320 miles on a full tank of gas. Paul's truck goes 312 miles on a full tank of gas. So there are two people involved. So one of them is Dan, one of them is Paul. Dan's truck holds 20 gallons. Paul's truck holds 26 gallons. So the two information that you are comparing in this case will be the miles and the gallons. So let's do the same thing for Dan. Let's do the same thing for Paul. So you're comparing his miles versus the gallons that his truck can hold. So for Dan, it's 320 miles, and for Paul, it will be 312 miles. Dan's truck holds 20 gallons. Paul's truck holds 26 6 gallons. So how many more miles per gallon? So make sure that you are underlining this and circling this keyword, miles per gallon. So how many more miles per gallon does Dan's truck get? You cannot find the miles per gallon unless you actually find it for 1 gallon, the distance that they are going to go. So do the same thing for Dan and do the same thing for Paul. The last one is your M, the last one is your M. Now make sure that you put an arrow because that is where your M is. That means you are finding the miles. So let's do the same method. 20 crossover and multiply to give you 20M. 1 times 320 to give you 320 equal sign. Divide by 20, divide by 20, cancel. M is equal to, now we need to put the 320 in the shelter and divide it by 20. 20 cannot go in a 3, 20 can go in a 32 one time, so that gives you a 20. 2, 1, bring the 0 down. 20 goes into a 120 6 times, so that means he's going to get 16 miles per gallon. Now let's do the same thing for Paul. So in the Paul's case, we are doing the same thing. 26 multiplies M to give you 26M. 1 multiplies 312 to give you 312 equal sign. You want to find M, divide by 26, divide by 26, cancel. See how you are getting the M alone? That is how you get rid of your 26. Now 312 divided by 26 cannot go in here. 1 times 26, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 5, 2. 26 goes into a 52 twice. So that is a 52. So that means his truck can give you 12 miles per gallon. So you found Paul and you found Dan's. So Dan's truck can give you 16 miles per gallon. In 1 gallon, you can go 16 miles. Paul can give you 12 miles per gallon. That means if you were to take Paul's truck, you would be able to go 12 miles in 1 gallon. Now the question is asking you, how many more miles, that is a keyword, how many more miles per gallon does Dan's truck get? So remember, Dan's truck can give you 16 miles for 1 gallon. Paul's truck can give you 12 gallons, 12 miles per gallon. The question is asking, how many more miles can you go if you were to take his truck as opposed to Paul? So that means I am going to subtract and I'm going to find I can go 4 miles per gallon if I were to take Dan's truck. Make sure that you are reading this you do question, pause the video, understand the question, and you get 10 points for your pinnacle grade if your work is there and your answer is accurate.